Dear students, in this session we are going to see more detail about adsorption column chromatography. So the content for the presentation are, first we will see about the adsorbent, that is stationary phase, its ideal properties and the various types of adsorbents which are used in the column adsorption chromatography. Next is mobile phase, its function, choice of mobile phase and examples of some mobile phase. Next we are going to study about columns, its dimensions and how the packing of column must be done. As column is one of the main part of the adsorption column chromatography. So starting with adsorbents. Adsorbent, it acts as a stationary phase. It is porous in nature with a high surface area to absorb substances on its surface by intermolecular forces. Examples include silica gel and aluminium oxide. Here the choice of adsorbents is very important as certain adsorbents may degrade some compounds during evaporation. Also, some adsorbents have a tendency to take up water from the atmosphere during storage, and this may adversely affect their adsorption properties. In such cases, the adsorbent needs to be activated. Activation also increases the surface area. We can say surface adsorption. Activation can be done by keeping the adsorbent at 110 degrees Celsius for a longer period of time to remove any water. Adsorbents which are used in chromatography, they are often impregnated with various ions during plate preparation and enhanced separation. Also, silver nitrate can be incorporated into the adsorbent, which enhances the separation of compounds. This is known as argentation TLC. Poly-E-caprolactam TLC shields are versatile and they do not require activation. This we are seeing for TLC, that is thin layer chromatography. Stronger adsorbents have more polar structure. Their capacity to take part in hydrogen bonding also plays an important role. Strength of adsorption of polar groups on the polar compound increases in the order as given, like CH double bond CH group, then OCH3 group, then COOR, then carbonyl group, then aldehyde, sulfhydryl, then amine, hydroxyl and carboxylic acid. Weakly polar compounds will be chromatographed on a polar adsorbent and vice versa. Sometimes chemisorption may take place, that is, bonds may be formed between the adsorbent and solute. So, to prevent this, acidic adsorbents are preferred for separation of acids and basic adsorbents are preferred for separation of bases. So, let us now see the ideal properties of the adsorbents. First of all, adsorbent must be insoluble in mobile phase. Otherwise, if it is soluble in mobile phase, and when we pass mobile phase, the adsorbent will get dissolved in it. Then it should be inert to the solutes. It should be colorless, especially when we are working with the colored mixtures. Otherwise, it may cause confusion. The particle size must be optimum to give good separation and reasonable flow rate. So these are the ideal properties of the adsorbents which should be kept in mind. Silica gel. Silica gel is the most widely used adsorbent both in column as well as TLC. It is prepared by acidification of sodium silicate with sulfuric acid, followed by washing with water and then drying. Active sites of the silica are OH group, which is attached to the silicon atoms, that is, it is known as silanol groups. When heated to 150 to 250 degrees Celsius, silica gel reaches its maximum power because at this temperature it gets rid of water. Hence its adsorption power increases tremendously. Because if silica gel contains water, it then acts by partition and not by adsorption. Also, the decreased particle size increases the surface area and consequently increases the separation power. This is the structure of silica. SiOSi, both silicon bonded to hydroxyl groups. There are some derivatives of silica gel which have been used. First is reverse phase silica gel. Here a straight chain aliphatic group is attached to the OH of silica gel by silation. RP silica gel are named according to the length of the carbon chains. For example, in the first one you can see there are 4 carbons, hence it is named as RP4. One containing 8 carbons is termed as RP8. One containing 18 is termed as RP18. Next derivative of silica gel is cyano-silica gel. Here you can see a cyanide group is there. Next adsorbent which is widely used is alumina. It is aluminium oxide, that is Al2O3. It is activated by heating at 400 degrees Celsius overnight. Advantages of alumina are: it has large capacity, it is insoluble, relatively inert, then it is available easily, and adsorption is different from silica gel due to strong positive field of aluminium cation and the influence of basic sites which affect easily polarized compounds. It is good in separation of aromatics from olefins. Disadvantages of alumina are: it is not suitable for base labile compounds. It reacts chemically with acidic compounds. It causes rearrangement and ring expansion of unsaturated compounds. It is available in various types. First is neutral alumina, which is pH 7, acidic alumina pH 4, basic alumina pH 10. So acidic alumina can be prepared by washing aluminium oxide with 2 normal HCl and then washing with distilled water. Similarly, basic alumina can be prepared by washing with NaOH and then with distilled water. Next adsorbent is charcoal. Two types of charcoal are available based on the temperature of activation, polar and non-polar. Non-polar is prepared by activation at 1000 degrees Celsius and it acts by adsorption through hydrogen bonds and electrostatic forces. Polar charcoal is prepared at lower temperature and it contains water, so it acts by partition. Next adsorbent is Kieselguhr. It is diatomaceous earth. It has relatively low adsorption power as compared to silica gel, alumina and charcoal. Examples of some other adsorbents are calcium carbonate, magnesium carbonate, zinc carbonate, and magnesium oxide, cellulose, hydroxyapatite, also known as calcium phosphate. It is widely used for separation of proteins and nucleic acids. It has some ion exchange properties unlike others which help in separation. After adsorbents, we are going to see about mobile phase. In adsorption column chromatography, mobile phase serves various functions. First, it acts as a developing agent. Also, it acts as a solvent to introduce the mixture into the column. So our sample mixtures can be introduced by dissolving it into the mobile phase. Third, it acts as eluent, that is to remove pure components out of the column. So choice of solvent or mobile phase is very important. As such, any organic solvent can be used as mobile phase, but the choice depends on the polarity of compounds to be resolved, their solubility and upon their distribution coefficient. Also, the mobile phase should have low boiling point because after elution we are going to separate our eluted material, that is our analyte. So how we are going to separate it? By boiling the mobile phase, by evaporating the mobile phase. So the mobile phase will evaporate and we will be left with the analyte. So it is important that mobile phase must have low boiling point, so we can recover our analyte easily and readily. So some solvents which can be used are as mobile phase are low polarity solvents like hexane, heptane, toluene, acetonitrile, diethyl ether and chloroform. Intermediate polarity solvents like ethanoic acid, dichloromethane, pyridine. Highly polar solvents like propane-1-ol, butanol, acetone, ethanol, methanol and water. This is a chart is shown of increasing polarity, and the polarity of some solvents are shown. Propanol, it is polarity 3.9. Tetrahydrofuran, it is polarity 4. Ethanol, polarity 4.3. Acetone 5.1. Acetonitrile has polarity 5.8. Ethylene glycol 6.9. Dimethyl sulfoxide 7.2 and water has polarity 10.2. So as you can see, water has highest polarity, that is 10.2, and among these propanol has lowest, that is 3.9. Next important part of adsorption column chromatography is column. So its main function is to support stationary phase, that is to support adsorbents. The column material is made up of good quality neutral glass. If the glass is not of good quality, then alkali leaching may take place. It may interfere in the separation. Thus, glass should be of good quality, it should be neutral. It should not be affected by solvents, acids or alkalis. Column dimensions, these are important for effective separation. Length is to diameter ratio should be 10:1, that is, length of the column should be 10 times as compared to its diameter. So the permitted values are 10:1 to 30:1. For very high efficient separation, length is to diameter ratio can be 100:1. Length of column, it depends upon number of compounds to be separated. Higher the number of compounds to be separated, more longer column should be used. Type of adsorbent used, then quantity of sample. If quantity of sample is high, then length should also be more. Then affinity of compounds towards the adsorbent used. If the compound has low affinity towards adsorbent, then longer columns should be preferred. Better separation will be obtained with a long narrow column than short thick column, because in long narrow column more number of plates will be formed. So preferably the ratio of length to diameter should be 10:1 to 30:1, and for best separation it should be 100:1. Let us now see about the packing of column. So as we have seen, column consists of a glass tube with bottom portion is packed with the glass wool, cotton wool or asbestos pad, and above this adsorbent is packed. After this, a paper disc is kept on the top so that adsorbent layer is not disturbed during the introduction of the sample. Slurry should be introduced into the column using funnels. The level of solvent must never be allowed to fall below the level of adsorbent to prevent cracks, because if the level of solvent falls, then cracks may be developed in the adsorbent. Therefore, a careful attention should be given to the perfect uniform packing of the selected adsorbent into the chromatographic column to achieve maximum efficiency. Packing of column can be carried out in two different manners: wet packing and dry packing. In wet packing, a thin slurry of adsorbent with appropriate solvent, or you can say mobile phase, is prepared and is poured slowly into the column. So here first we will dissolve our adsorbent into the appropriate solvent, that is mobile phase, and then we will pour it slowly into the column. Air bubbles may get trapped while pouring the slurry, so they should be removed immediately with the help of a long glass rod by agitation. Once the adsorbent gets settled in the column, a disc of Whatman filter paper is placed on its top layer and washed sand is added to the top of the disc. Then solvent is continued to run down unless the level of liquid attains a height of nearly 1 centimeter above the top level of the packed column. Next packing is dry packing. Here fine powdered form of adsorbent is poured into the column. To maintain the soft compactness of the adsorbent in the body of the column must be tapped while filling. Column is filled up to the 3/4 of the actual height of the column. The empty head above the surface of the packed column is filled with the mobile phase. So these are the two types of packing: wet packing and dry packing. So in this video we have seen about adsorbents, mobile phase and columns which are used in adsorption column chromatography. Thank you.